Good afternoon. Welcome back to Rich Adventures. It's April 7th, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I still don't have my RV. Imagine that. So my wife and I went to the Kansas City RV show. We went to Tampa in December, but we went to the Kansas City RV show and met up with one of the Alliance employees, one of the, I guess he's a sales guy, who was there helping the company that was at the Kansas City RV show, the dealership, sell RVs. And basically I was told that if I ordered then, I could get it mid-March. I didn't order it then. I did wait another week, and I went to the St. Louis RV show and went with Byerly out of St. Louis, Byerly RV. And I was told the same thing, that I probably could get it by mid-March. Well, here it is, April 7th. Don't have my RV. Don't have a commitment. However, I do know that it supposedly came off of the line on March 31st, and they were getting it shipped down there. They were going to do whatever. You know, they tell you that they do a really thorough inspection. Don't buy into that. Inspect it yourself or hire somebody. Anyway, they haven't called me yet this week, but I'm expecting to maybe pick it up on Saturday, the 12th, I hope. I do have a trip planned on the 17th, so we'll see how that goes. And I'm not going to pick it up unless it's in near perfect condition. So, you know, you lose all power to get them to fix any of the issues once you take it off the lot. So got all that covered. But anyway, I will do a video when I pick it up. What I'm here to talk about today is what truck to get, what RV to get. You know, you got to think about all that stuff. And what tools do you need with the RV? Go to the truck. You can see I've got I got a Ford Super Duty 350. Right there it is. I think it's a great truck, no problem. It's not what I wanted, I'll tell you that right now. When I was looking at trucks, what I really wanted was the ultimate Denali. And unfortunately, I couldn't find one equipped so that the payload capacity would be where I needed it to be. As a matter of fact, this Ford 350 behind me barely squeaks in at an acceptable place. My prime considerations, I wanted a short bed and I wanted a single rear wheel. You know, this is the first big truck I've owned ever in my whole life. And, you know, getting it in and out of the city and doing all the things that we plan to do when we're not pulling the trailer was important to me to do it fairly conveniently. And this truck is, quite frankly, anything but convenient when it comes to that, but it's probably as small as I could get and still probably be able to do the job. The fifth wheel that we bought the Alliance Paradigm 340 RL. Man, oh man, I was really thinking I should have gotten the 310, and then I was struggling, and we went and looked at them, and we, you know, struggling. The 340 really spoke to us as far as the accommodations, the living accommodations within the camper. So maybe I did okay on my choices, but I got here to tell you that this thing is just going to barely be capable of handling the payload capacity. The payload capacity is barely capable of handling the weight that we're probably going to be carrying, and we're not going to full time. So we won't have as much weight on the RV as a full-timer would. You really got to look at payload capacity. Can it pull it? Yeah, it can pull it all day long. It's not going to be an issue whatsoever. And I also want to comment that the people at Byerly were absolutely emphatic. There's no way a 1-ton truck, it doesn't matter what 1-ton truck. You buy a 1-ton truck, no problem. They're wrong. Wrong. Do your homework. Make sure that you're buying the right truck for the rig that you're buying, because as I already said, this one's just barely going to be acceptable. How do I know that? Well, let me just show you real quick. So first of all, if you go online and look at anything that's advertised on any of the manufacturers, they're going to give you payload capacities basically for the bottom of the line, no frills, you know, doesn't have any options on the truck for that model of a truck. So an F350 with, you know, whatever the base model is, an XL or XLT or whatever you want to get, one of those lower model crew cab with a short bed is going to be able to handle well over 4,000 pounds. I didn't want that. I wanted, you know, I wanted some luxury. I wanted some convenience stuff. You can't see it really, but it has the sunroof. I didn't want the sunroof, but you can't hardly buy, it's a platinum package. You can't buy a platinum package and not get the sunroof unless you order it, and I didn't have time to do all that. So, went with this particular one. And the reason I couldn't go with the Denali Ultimate that I wanted, but basically the same truck as far as configuration and conveniences and options and whatnot, but because the Ford, I believe this is the reason, the Ford has a lot of aluminum versus steel on the body, it weighs less. Therefore, it has more payload capacity because they both are right about 12,000 pounds max gross vehicle weight. So inside the door, everybody knows you have the capacity charts right here. You see this one right there? 3906. That is the important number you want to look at. You can also find how much can be on the rear axle and the front axle. I'm more worried about that single number right there, that 3906. So this truck can carry 3,906 pounds of stuff. Well, what constitutes the stuff? So how about me and my wife while we're in it, and anything that we carry with us, and everything that I put in the truck bed, everything in the truck bed constitutes stuff, which is one of the reasons why I got the lightest possible hitch combination that I could get. So the Anderson third generation fifth wheel connection hitch, and it comes with its own drawbacks. So I wanted the short bed. When I first bought the short bed, I figured I'm absolutely going to go with a slider hitch. Probably would have been the smart thing to do to make sure that I can corner better. 300 pounds versus 100 pounds. Man, 200 pounds is a lot of weight. Let's take a look at the information on the 340RL. So I got the Paradigm pamphlet right here, 340RL. So it's dry weight 13.5, hitch weight 2,700 pounds. So of that 3,900 pounds that I can carry, 27 is gone with an empty RV. Leaves me 1,200 pounds, right? Well, figure my wife and I, and just a little bit of stuff, all right, there's 400 more pounds. So now we're down to 800 pounds. The hitch, there's 100 pounds. Now we're down to 700 pounds. Without putting anything else in the truck, empty truck. Had to take a break there for a second, people going by. So, where was I? Whatever that number was, it's irrelevant. You start to get the point. I think I was at 700 or 800 pounds. That's an empty trailer sitting on top of, with the hitch connected. Start putting stuff in the trailer. The trailer actually has almost 3,000 pounds of cargo capacity. Think about it. Every pound you put in the trailer, a percentage of that weight, depending on where you load it in the trailer, goes on the hitch, goes up to the front and pushes down on the truck. If you put, let's say you did load it at 3,000 pounds, and let's just arbitrarily say only 20% of it was all the way up front. Well, there's 3,000 times 20%, there's 600 pounds. Bam, you're almost right at your max gross weight. Again, that's just with my wife and I and a small amount of stuff with us sitting in the front of the truck and no extra gear. Well, heck, I've already got extra gear. I've got a tonneau cover, I've got a bed liner, I didn't include those. you run out of weight capacity really, really fast, which makes you start to think about, okay, well, what do I really need to carry with me and how much cargo can I actually carry? Drives me to the next point that I wanted to talk about is tools. I talked about accessories on my last video a little bit, but I wanted to just talk a little bit about tools. Let's take a look at some of the tools. So, take a look here. As you can see, I've got a lot of tools. There's old toolboxes. There's 2 more in addition to that. And this bag right here is going with me. Well, those are just extra sockets. So here's, a couple years ago I decided to buy a nice toolbox. I bought my toolbox here. I like Craftsman stuff. And I filled it up completely. Right now it's not full. I decided I'm not taking any of those 1/4-inch sockets. 3/8 and 1/2 inch are in another toolbox, and most of my wrenches. I got more screwdrivers you can shake a stick at. Got lots of good tools. How about all that stuff? Look at those drill bits. I got more drill bits than you can shake a stick at. Pipe stuff, hammer stuff, got, power stuff. More stuff, all kinds of stuff. Electrical, some putty knives, and of course, an assortment of pliers and whatnot. So I got tools everywhere, got all kinds of tools. The question became, okay, what of these tools do I need to take with me? Should I just go buy a whole new set and do that? Well, I don't know about you, but I really can't afford a new set of tools. So I started pulling out all the stuff that I needed, or that I thought I needed. There's one of those other toolboxes. This one's going right in the truck right now. But, I've got some 3/8 drive sockets, got me a torque wrench, got some electrical tape, a couple hammers. It barely all fits in there. I don't know why I've got these wires in here, but put those over there. I've got a 1/2 inch and 3/8 drive socket set, basically an entire socket set. And I've got Allen wrenches, I've got combination wrenches, adjustable wrench, vice grips. These are smaller wrenches. Don't know that they'll ever come into play, but got all these wrenches in here. Don't know how I'm gonna get that out now that that's back like that, but a pair of 10 snips. All right, so that's the majority of what I chose. That should go in there. Over here, I got duct tape, got that electrical tape, multimeter, got heat gun to shrink wrap up electrical connections, tire kit, got your basic headlamp, electrical connectors, more electrical stuff, tape measure. And this is all I've gotten so far, but I bet you right there, sitting right there in those two, that bag in that toolbox, I've got probably about 75 pounds worth of tools. I don't know if I need them all. I've been watching, all the YouTubers, but I don't have an impact gun for taking off tires. I don't have a lug wrench yet. I've got one of those somewhere, so I need to pull that out. All this stuff adds weight. Where you put it makes a big difference. You put it on the truck, it adds 1 pound for every 1 pound of gear into your payload. You put it on the RV, it adds a percentage of that weight. The further forward it is in the RV, the higher the percentage. So bottom line, what I'm trying to say is really pay attention to your payload capacity and the trailer that you're buying. You don't want to put yourself in an overweight condition. First of all, it's illegal, but more importantly, it's really unsafe. You put too much weight in the back of your truck, the front end's going to get light, make it very hard to handle. You're overloading the springs, the suspensions, the entire suspension system, the tires. really dangerous situation. So think about what you're getting. And if you got any comments, go ahead and put them down there. And please, if you got any thoughts on other tools that I should get, like that impact wrench to take off lug nuts, I don't know, it seems pretty expensive to me, but a lot of people like it. Oh, one last thing. How do you like my rear license plate? Can you read that? Yeah, forget the advertisement. I don't know what I'm going to do about that, but yep. In the state of Missouri, craziest thing I ever heard of. That's where I live, Missouri. In the state of Missouri, if your truck weighs more than 12,000 pounds and they go by the truck's weight plus anything that you would plan to haul with it, so I'm probably going to be around maybe 23,000 pounds. If it weighs more than 12,000 pounds, when you register it, you have to register as a commercial vehicle over 12,000 pounds, and you only get one license plate, and it goes on the front of your vehicle. Never heard of that before, but that's the way it is. So on the back, there's no license plate, so you can do whatever you want. So I got us a little Rich Adventures license plate on the back. I also have a veterans plate on the front. I am an Army veteran, so got the veterans plate on the front. And that's it for today. Hope to see you next week with an RV inspection pickup video. Thanks. Bye.